Hello, I'm Tom Bleasdale, and today I'm going to talk about the pain that goes with fibromyalgia. One of the worst aspects of fibromyalgia is the constant chronic pain. For most of us, it's a deep-seated aching, crushing feeling that starts within our bones, radiates out through the muscles, and goes through our whole bodies. I have pain coming from my feet, through my ankles, all the way through my legs, in my knees, hips, all the way up through my back and through my shoulders, arms, neck, up to my head, all the way up to here where there's a big localized patch of pain right here, right now. And that pain is generally constant. Sometimes it gets worse, sometimes it eases back a bit, but it never goes away. And for most of us with fibromyalgia, that's how life is. Permanent, constant pain, and it's a really nasty, aching, crushing feeling where you just want to explode out of your body, but you can't. Everything's cramping and pushing in and screwing up like that and clenching up, and it's horrible. And then on top of that, we get the localized pains, the electric shocks that can come from nowhere, the shooting pains that can come from nowhere, the pins and needles, the stabbing pains, the random bruises that just appear sometimes, and the rashes and the itching, the severely painful itching. There's so many types of pain that go with fibromyalgia, and they're always on top of this permanent, chronic, deep-seated aching that we just can't escape. Now, on some days, it may be not as bad as others, and a healthy person may say, oh, so you have good days. And you may say, yeah, I do, but they're good days by your standards, by our standards, by a healthy person's standards. Think about it. Those days are still brutal. I know that if I woke up when I was 15, 16, 17, feeling like I feel right now, I'd be extremely worried, and I'd definitely be calling the doctor and possibly an ambulance, because the pain is so bad, and I'd be panicking. But what I'm having today is what I would consider, by my standards, not so bad a day. I'm well enough to make this video. I'm well enough to play my guitar a little bit, even though my hand hurts and my left arm is really painful. It's not so bad that I can't play my guitar a little bit. My shoulder is killing me, but still. These are the things we live with. This is what we push through. And what can we do with this pain that we have, that when you're brushing your teeth, you have to put your arms down and drop your head because your neck muscles are aching and your arm muscles are aching. This pain that when we're washing our hair in the shower, we have to drop our head down, drop our shoulders down, drop our arms because they're just too exhausted from even just a minute of trying to wash your hair because the pain is so bad. Trying to open a bottle and then pour water from it. Healthy people don't consider these things, but we have to. We know they cause pain, we know they hurt, we know we have to endure pain to do these very, very simple things. So how do we deal with all that day in, day out, every single day? Because it is relentless, it never stops. Well, how I deal with it is the way most people deal with it. I have painkillers, which I try not to take. They are extremely strong. On my prescription, I have extremely strong cocodamol, and I also have tramadol. And I try not to take these drugs at all, either because the side effects are horrible, and if I end up with an addiction to any of them, that's just going to make things much worse. I've seen other people try to control the pain with alcohol, but that's just as bad, if not worse, than using the prescription drugs and becoming addicted to those. Anything that you become dependent on like that is never a good thing. So, although I do use my painkillers, I take them as little as possible. I must also mention that I use a lot of CBD oil. That's orally and in a cream form. I find CBD to be very, very helpful, and a lot of people do get a lot of relief from that. There are many more treatments for fibromyalgia pain, which I just don't have time to go into here. There's so many to try, and anything which helps you is a good thing, as long as it has no harmful side effects. A couple of the other things I do to help with the pain of fibromyalgia is I have hot baths almost every day, because that really helps with the muscle pain. And I have an electric blanket So every time I get into bed, I get into what is like a dry, hot bath almost, and that helps my muscles relax a little bit and reduces the pain. And I also pay for physical therapy every week. If I could afford it every day, I would, and that helps a lot too. That's the thing, you just have to just push through it. Some people will say, oh, well, surely you get used to it. And no, you don't get used to it. If you get punched in the face 50 times, the 50th time is going to hurt just as badly as the third, fourth, fifth time. The pain is still the pain, and it only seems to get worse, not easier. So you don't get used to it. You get used to living with it, but you don't get used to actually having the pain. You just get used to enduring it. You get used to suffering. You get used to pushing through. But the actual pain itself is something you can't really get used to the point that you can dismiss it. You can only get used to it to the point that you can acknowledge it, but you can push through and pretend it's not there, and people cannot realise that you're in absolute agony when you really are. So yeah, that's what it comes down to really. The pain of fibromyalgia, it's brutal. It's constant. Sometimes it gets worse. Rest of the time it's just there, being nasty and making life very, very difficult. And I was a skateboarder and a martial artist before I got this illness, and I was used to dealing with a lot of pain, and I'm sure that has helped me deal with the pain that I deal with now on a day-to-day basis. But it's still incredibly brutal, incredibly tough, and way harder to deal with than any kind of pain I ever had when I was healthy. So that's all we can do with this illness, is just keep pushing through, grit your teeth, and just stay tough. Because if there's one thing to be said about this illness, it makes you tough. We have no choice.